Welcome back to Cheche. Thank you so much for your feedback. It is hilarious as well as serious. I'm going to take in another message, and you're saying we need sober minds and intellectual thinking like the likes of Honorable Arab Kira. That's the spirit needed in the Rift Valley. Come back to politics, Bona Kira. You people contributed a lot to this country, but never enjoyed the fruits. Well, a day will come, keep the spirit burning. Apparently, he has still been in politics, so it seems that a lot of people might think that you were a little quiet. Do you think so?
I think so.
What have you been up to yet?
Where is he going to? Well, I was a special envoy for 4 years, but for the last 3 years, I've gone back to school, to improve my skills. And when I listened to Senator Murkomen, somebody I've respected, being a young man with a lot of prowess, talking the way he's talking, I get worried. Because every leader must define his own space. And I want him to define his space earlier. And cease to be a supporter of a certain political bandwagon or an individual. This is the way I look at it, and I'm honestly advising him that it is important that we look at this country beyond the Jubilee. Jubilee is here today. Jubilee may not be there tomorrow. The way Kanu was in town, it left town, it is already now on the periphery. So this is really my request to my good friend Senator Murkomen.
I will leave it at that. I want to talk about the messaging and for the region. And Makali and Mutegi, I don't know if you would agree with me, but if you look at the way the country has been, well, if you like, politically charged, there seem to be key messages for key regions. If it's at the coast, then you're talking about terror and possibly, you know, the segmenting of certain communities in the same, and you will see some people trying to capitalize on that, even though it is perhaps largely a security question. If you look at Western Kenya, well, it is a question of, sugar is a question of trade. It has become, you know, is this region basically being economically disenfranchised, even though we have devolution right now and counties have the monies to do what they want in as far as the community is concerned. What do you think the messaging is right now in the Rift Valley with political parties?
The messaging in Rift Valley is very clear. The leading issue there is succession. The Rift Valley is preoccupied and obsessed with post-Uhuru Kenyatta presidency and what happens to us. And that's why, in fact, the script for this meeting that Murkomen, you know, and team are organizing is to make sure nothing goes wrong from the script. That after Uhuru, 2022 is William Ruto's time. And anything that distracts that must be nipped in the bud. Things must be so prearranged and organized. And even this whole idea of bringing together the parties, JAP, why it looks less and less attractive is that you are joining a prearranged, schedule of succession. So what does New Ford Kenya, for example, come in to do? What does you know, the other parties come in to do that are fringe members who are being, you know, wooed to come in? You come in to be number 2 in 2022, or what is the ball game? Okay, unity is a big thing. We need to unite, but unity is not equal to 2 political parties in the country. That is a wrong, you know, argument. I must put it this way. In fact, the whole point of uniting parties sometimes is highly autocratic because it's about compromising, arranging people, communities, and individuals in a certain lineup, which in the process compromises the very democratic ideals you're looking for. In fact, sometimes it's happier having many parties because then everybody plays in their own field, and then we meet at the end of the game. So the Rift Valley script is, how do we first of all make sure that nothing derails the plan, the Jubilee plan, which has been declared, and that includes making sure that nothing happens to Ruto at the Hague. He gets out of there quickly so that actually things are on plan.
In fact, some politicians have suggested that in order for William Ruto to sort himself out of the Hague, he should run for presidency in 2017. There are people who have publicly said so. In fact, going by the argument of Makali, there are issues in Ukambani with the suggestion that Jubilee want to lure Kalonzo Musyoka into Jubilee. And people say, if Kalonzo Musyoka goes to Jubilee, the pot has been cooked, it has been shared. What does he get? There's no point of going there because we know who is going to be president. Alonso should go and run by himself, not be told because Raila is going to be the presidential vote to Jubilee.
Right. And actually, the people you're referring to are 3 URP legislators, the members for Yatta, Narok West, and Cheche. They all said that the deputy president should consider running in 2017. But if I can come back to you, Makali, where does that put political parties like KANU? Where's KANU in the sharing of this cake?
That's why they are not particularly excited about the invitation. And I can assure them that there will be more other parties that are not going to honor that invitation. They may support Uhuru for president, but I doubt that they are going to fold up and join, come under the umbrella of JAP for 2 reasons. One, I think, as has been clearly stated, these parties have got communities or memberships that own them and believe they're their homes. You don't close your home to go and feel happy in your neighbor's home. You keep your leaking one, hoping that you can you can one day, patch it up and proceed to, Canaan, if that's where you're headed.
How will you get to Canaan, Kipruto?
Well, we are on our way there.
Go ahead.
Yes,
right.
because every political party is formed with the ultimate aim of appropriating a certain amount of power or influencing decisions of leadership. So we are on our way. And the most important thing is we do not want to be rushed. We want to go through the process of coming together as a political entity seamlessly, the way I said at the beginning, but just bundling people together and saying, okay, you are now into one bandwagon is not an issue, and it's not a solution to the problem, because communities, and I can say it again, communities are still suspicious of each other. Even the URP and the TNA communities, they are still suspicious of each other. That's why it took the political leadership defection on the eve of elections for convenience, otherwise ostensibly remaining the leadership of the other party, while they effectively defected on the eve of elections to be on the ballot paper with the partner.
No comment.
About what now?
They're not going to make it to Canada.
About the script.
No. The main thing in Rift Valley now is development.
Okay.
We want to see as much as possible how lives of people can be improved within the current governance structure. And one of the biggest problems we are facing is conflict in places like Baringo and Turkana, a little bit of Pokot and Baringo
Samburu,
itself, and so on, Samburu and so forth. We think this government should be able to sort out those issues. We are pushing for infrastructure in the region, that infrastructure be improved and so forth. But when it comes to the next preoccupation politically is that government and governance structure must not be destabilized. That's where ICC now comes in. That the ICC is a necessary distraction from the path of unity and reconciliation that we are pushing. By the way, most of us in Rift Valley, it's a lie to make this argument that we have moved on. In terms of bringing together Kalenjins and Kikuyus and Luyas and Luos living in our region. And Mheshimiwa Kirwa is my neighbor. Trans Nzoia is the best example, and Cherangani, where Kalenjins have intermarried and lived together with different communities, even Eldoret and Wasilisha and so forth. That is where I would like to see more, and that the unity that we're having moves beyond Ruto and Uhuru being president and deputy, and even the Ruto's presidency in future should be defined by the manner in which we treat people fairly in the region, whether in terms of our county government participation, in terms of the development in the areas where those people live, so that this mentality that someone is from the other side. How shall you? And this is the argument we are making as politicians. If I want to rise to a national level in future, how will I be able to lead Kenya if I'm not tolerant to other communities in my own village? That is the movement we are moving towards. So for us, the institution of government making a difference in that region is our first priority. But two is that this ICC situation, where it is criminalizing and profiling one community and destabilizing that arrangement that is working towards unity of the country, should be our greater focus. The question of Ruto being the deputy president of Kenya is not just a leader of Rift Valley. Is a person that is looked up to across the country. That's why we have URPMB in Korea, we have have a URPME in Taraka. We have in Teso, 2 of them, all of them in Teso. We have, if there is something credit that must be given to William Ruto, the MP of Eldoret North, forget about the deputy president, the MP of Eldoret North is being able to sit down with other leaders and creating a political arrangement that is a representative of the whole country. And that is really credit to him. And when he says let's move now to form JAP, he is coming from an informed position that we can take this thing further and have a political coalition. There are many people, as Mheshimiwa said, and I said I respect their views, that may have different view, but the warning there is that the way I have gone around Rift Valley, for example, the community is ahead of us in terms of moving towards JAP. The people, the masses on the ground are ahead of political leaders.
Sunny blue skies ahead, right?
Mheshimiwa, you are a senator. Devolution seems to have balkanized the country. There is this move the other day with Raila Odinga and Ngugi Thiong'o saying the county assembly should be spoken vernacular languages. There is the issue of doctors. Counties refusing doctors because they don't come from there. Not only doctors, staff, members of staff, found there because they are not there. They are not promoted because they are not from that county. This is proving counterproductive in terms of national unity.
For me, devolution as a whole has done far much greater than the negatives people are talking about. Through devolution, if you have gone across this country, my committee, we've gone to all Tana River, Wajir, Marsabit, you know, those counties that were marginalized before. The number of health workers that have been employed by county government are many. The equipment of the county hospitals is, you know, amazing. What devolution has done in 2 years, if we guide and lead it for the next 10 years, will make a big difference in this country. And so for me, the negatives are just the same negatives we face even at the national level. If you look at the strikes that doctors have, they are not in more than 10 counties. One of the greatest concerns of doctors, by the way, is not even salary. It is mobility. You see, someone was transferred by national government to go and work in Garissa, and they were told if you finish 5 years, you can be transferred to an area where you are favored. Then devolution found them there. And to move from Garissa to Elgeyo Marakwet, they need to apply for a job afresh. So those issues we can always discuss in law and find mechanism of smoothing the process, but we cannot condemn devolution as a whole. There are elements of tribalism in some counties. In other counties, you know, complaints that it's not even tribe. Now clanism, you know, that you are in certain community because certain arrangement. We went to some counties in Northeastern, and the complaint really was not about tribes, it's about the clans, whether those clans are adequately represented in government and so forth. That conversation should be going on, and the independent institutions that are doing matters of cohesion, human rights reporting, and so forth should be able to focus on elimination of those issues. But as a whole, devolution, and by the way, language. Even in South Africa, there are five, six ethnic languages that are national in nature. You can still speak Marakwet and remain national. You can actually even train a Kikuyu in Marakwet, a Luo in Marakwet, and so forth to speak Marakwet. There's nothing wrong with that. We can even convert and say that our mother tongues must be taught in schools and so forth. You know, we must move the question of integration beyond just the language. Language. Can you imagine you speak Kikuyu, that you
Khmer,
sorry, that there is no Meru language in the world. We have just eliminated it. There is certain identity that comes with it, diversity that comes with it, the culture that comes with it. When I go to Meru and those drums are beaten and so forth, there is certain uniqueness.
That's why it comes.
So we can actually nurture the language. Some of us are struggling in Nairobi. That our children don't know a single word of our mother and father tongues.
You know, so we must have a separate conversation that just really talks about embracing our diversity, because it is a major issue and it is the value, the richness of the country. But we are out of time, gentlemen. I'm going to come round for a final round of comments on Rift politics. Makali.
Well, I think that it's good, the script for the weekend rally that had been convened by Murkomen, my friend, changed because we know what the initial script was. It was about thumping the communal interests and so forth, but when the others saw it could be turned into something else, they decided we were coming to attend, and so they diffused what would have been tension that would have issued out of the that rally, and Murkomen must accept that is what transpired. And it's good for, I think, for the country's politics, because it is going to really, you know, turn into something volatile after that. They have toned down, which is good, and I think in the end of time, I think that the deputy president will leave The Hague and come back like the president. I have, from how I see things. And I think that they just need to be patient and to push without making it a preoccupation of the nation again, as we saw earlier on prior to the elections. There are mechanisms which are in place now. The court has pronounced itself. There are now certain precedents which have been set. And I don't see why politicians should make it a public agenda of our politics again, even when the deputy president seems to be taking a lower, different approach. But they want to orchestrate, in fact, begin to create rifts between, within the country about who was responsible, who, took him there and that kind of stuff. That story has been told. So if we can move away from that, and Malcolm, and I hope we'll do that because he's the leader, we will have a more peaceful, less noisy country going forward. But I know that Rift Valley is going to continue to be the hotbed of our politics come up to 2017.
Well, my prayer is that the issue of the ICC takes the due process of the law, and we get to logical conclusion, and may justice be done. Number two, on the issue of devolution, I think there is still a lot of conversation that needs to take place between the government and the devolved structures, because it is like the process of devolution was not effectively anchored in terms of human resource and also the resources that go to the ground. It is important that what the transitional authority was trying to do is further implemented, and we reduce also mutual suspicion, both by the governors on the ground and also by the national government, to let go certain institutions. It is important because devolution is the best way forward. We started with the CDF, now we are now devolving at that particular level. As we do devolution, we should also do a critique of what is the cost of democracy in terms of the 47 counties. Can we think of a system that can reduce these counties to 10 states within the county system without necessarily compromising on what has already been implemented? It is important because we are a small population of 40 million people, and we cannot afford to support 47 governors with all the apparatus of those devolved structures. It is something that we must rethink as a nation, not as a political entity, but as a nation, and that discussion should take place probably after the next election.
All right, welcome.
For us, as I said, unity of our country is paramount. Rift Valley has the greatest benefit of having the most diverse population. You will be seeing us further. Tororo was just the beginning. We will move all over this country to make our case that ICC is not doing what that they should do, but also to reaffirm our belief that this nation has moved away from 2007, and we are a united country trying to pursue development for the good of this country. I just wanted to remind people also that for those of us who are in leadership in Rift Valley, like myself, I'm a senator. My friend Kibruto Kirwa said, I need to redefine myself. You can redefine, your space. Yes. Defining your space does not mean creating a rebellion or running away from others. I have accepted the fact that to be led, to lead, you must be allowed to be led, and that those who have accepted to be led have had a great opportunity later in life to lead. On the question of devolution, I just want to add, the last thing is that we need really to ensure that the bad behaviors of corruption, ethnicity and tribalism, which used to be there at the national level and still exists at the moment in most parts of national government, which has become very difficult to root out, does not become the norm in the counties. And I'll give you two examples. One, the story of wheelbarrows costing 109,000. No matter what explanation, even you say it is gold coated, cannot sell, because the first place you will be asked, why did you buy gold coated wheelbarrow? Two, I have seen on social media, and I don't know if it's true, that in one county the governor paid 2 million to a contractor to open a Facebook page for the county.
Yes.
Social media is hard.
I mean, that opening a Facebook page requires a contractor and to pay 2 million shillings. Really, my committee, and I'm very happy now. You know, remember the first time I was among the first people to say accountability, corruption must be fought in the counties, and so forth. And at that time, people were saying, I'm fighting devolution. Everybody now, everybody, including all the senators, even in the opposition, are now talking about accountability in the counties, because accountability is not a partisan. It's not. It's beneficial to the rest of the country.
But you know, Senator, digital. You've seen what it's done already. Not a joke. That's on a line on Mutegi. Your final thought.
My final thought goes to my friend Mokumen and his people. I know they will be active as he said they are going to be. But my fear is that that Judge Suji, he is an African. He knows about African traditions. And he said the extraneous things that made him accept. I hope the meetings do not make their case worse. That's my fear. That he might think you're interfering. You don't want the cause of justice to go on. If you continue doing that and then it affects our deputy president and my colleague journalists, that would be very sad.
All right, gentlemen, it's been a morning I did not expect. Thank you so much. My thanks to Senator Kipchumba Murkomen to my right, Kipruto Rakira, who is the national chairman of New for Kenya. Thank you for coming in. And of course, my favorites, David Makali and Mutegi Njau. Thanks for having me. Thank you for watching Cheche. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow night on Opinion Court. Bye-bye for now.